The first time I heard about Bitcoin, I thought it was a scam. The second time, I thought it was a fad. And the third time, I realized God might be inviting me to learn something I'd been avoiding out of fear. In this episode, we're unpacking the truth about digital currencies from a kingdom perspective. No hype, no fear, just wisdom. We'll talk about what Bitcoin actually is, why digital currencies matter, and how you can engage with this new space in a way that's aligned with your values and your calling. If you've ever felt confused, skeptical, or even guilty for being curious about crypto, this conversation will bring clarity and freedom. Let's talk about what it means to steward the future with both discernment and courage.
You were created to live abundantly and multiply in every area of your life. But let's be honest, the road isn't always easy.
We know that firsthand. We've been through highs and lows, from losing everything to now managing an investment fund, and we're still on the journey.
This podcast isn't about having it all figured out. It's about real stories, kingdom principles, and trusting God with what's already in your hands.
On Mandate to Multiply, we go deep into faith, family, finances, and other topics, sharing what we've learned and what we're still learning as we walk it out with Jesus.
If you're ready to think bigger, live boldly, and multiply what matters most,
then you're in the right place. We're Jonathan and Melissa Edmiston, and this is Mandate to Multiply.
welcome to episode number 10 of Mandate to Multiply. I am one of your hosts, Melissa Edmiston.
And I'm Jonathan Edmiston.
My handsome husband, Jonathan. I'm really excited for this episode. We get to share about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And I'm really excited to talk about this because, you always hear the naysayers or the myths or, people have negative things to say. And we're not like bandwagon jumpers. We're not trendy people by any means. But when the research is there, when the data is there, when the truth is there, you cannot help but believe it. And it's sad and frustrating when there are people in your world who believe the myths or believe the lies or believe the naysaying. And so I was really excited to record this podcast because I get to live with a man who knows a lot about a lot of things. I would say he's the world's most interesting man. He's brilliant. He's literally probably a genius, but he knows a lot about this topic and through a lot of research, through a lot of due diligence and a lot of time. And so I feel like every myth I've ever heard that people have said to me in conversations, in communities, in different groups, Jonathan can bust in like a second. So I'm really excited to talk about this. We just kind of want to scratch the surface. We don't want any of our listeners to ever not do something out of fear. And believing things that are not true, false information, especially things that you've heard over the years and they just keep being passed on without actually knowing the truth. So we're going to talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies.
All right, let's go.
So one of the things that I want to start with is just kind of like your story about, because you didn't always invest in it. We always say, We wish we would have started in 2010 when we got married because we would have a lot more money than we do right now. Yeah. So I want Jonathan to share how he got into it and then just kind of go quickly through what it is and why we believe in it and why we use it as a part of our fund. It's part of our strategy for our investors. So let us know.
So if you know about me, I have a very strong real estate background. And the ideology growing up was you only invest in things that you can see, touch, and feel. And if you can't do that, then you probably should just stay away from it. And there was a lot of fear regarding things that were unknown. Mm-hmm. If you've ever thought, I just don't understand it or don't know anything about it, so I'll just avoid it. That's kind of where we were. And that's kind of the thought process that we had. And we heard about this thing and I said, well, that'll never work. Some digital currency off pie in the sky somewhere. Who's going to ever get into that? And if I would have just thrown $100 or $1,000 at it back when I heard about it, it would have been a completely different story. But the way that I really got into cryptocurrency, I was actually at a real estate conference and there was a speaker talking about having a crypto account set up in the event that you had some ransom that you had to pay or something like that. And it was kind of on the fear side, but it was like, you better have an account or else the insurance companies might not pay the claim. And it was just like this total fear-driven thing. So I opened up my phone and I just did a Google search, like what's the best account in the United States? And it popped up with Coinbase. And I'm like, oh, great. Coinbase will give me $5 for opening an account for free in Bitcoin. And at least I'll have the account set up. So that's what I did.
Okay.
I set up the account, pretty much forgot about it for about 3 months. And then one day I opened it up and it's the $5 account was now at $6. And I'm like, wait a minute. Now, the dollar amount wasn't that great, right? $5 to $6, woohoo, I made $1. But it had appreciated 20% in about 3 months. Mm-hmm. And when I saw that, I said, oh my gosh, this is something I need to look into a little bit more. And then that just led me down a path of no return.
Of mastery.
Like
everything else he does.
Yeah. A lot of people, when they're faced with something that they don't know, they can either get paralyzed with fear or let their thoughts kind of wander like, is this a get rich quick scheme or is this something else? But the missed opportunities or poor decisions or lack of discernment, we really need to hone in on those things and really see what there is that we don't know. There's a lot of things that we don't know. I heard a general one time, the quote has really stuck with me. He said, there's things that we know that we know. There's things that we know that we don't know. There's things that we don't know that we know. And there's things that we don't know that we don't know. Mm-hmm. And in investing in things like this, there was a lot that I didn't even know that I didn't know.
Right.
Until I really started digging into it and started going down that path.
So one of the things that I think keeps people away from it is all of the negativity that they heard for years from JP Morgan and all these big investment companies. What would you say to somebody who has heard all the negative things from people that they trust with either their money or with money in general that have made people afraid? What would you say? And what does that look like now?
Yeah. So one of the terms in the crypto space is FUD, F-U-D. It stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And over the past 10 years, really prior to the last year, there's been a lot of FUD. There's been a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of doubt. I think it was Warren Buffett that called it rat poison. JP Morgan and Diamond said that, they wouldn't touch it, whatever. All the while, they're building the back ends that are necessary to start institutionally trading, holding, and operating in the space. So while they were telling you this one thing over here, that it's only for criminals and it's only for the dark market and drugs and traffickers and all this, they're putting the systems in place over here in order to be able to actually use it.
Why do you think they were doing that?
Don't get me started on that.
Because they couldn't get paid on it, right?
Right.
They couldn't make money off of it then because they didn't have the correct systems in place to be able to place their investors' money into it. But now that they do, they're buying a lot of it. Yeah.
Specifically with Bitcoin, you have countries that are buying Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. You have companies like MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor, who he was one of those, it's horrible, nobody will ever buy into it. Now he's restructured his entire company to where they're a Bitcoin reserve company for the most part. Companies, there's over 100 companies around the world that are adding it to the balance sheet as a reserve instrument. States are adding it to pensions and portfolios and things like that. So the global adoption is just really taking off in the past 6-8 months.
And I just want the encouragement for you all in that is to really always be mindful of who you're getting your information from, who you're believing, and always follow the money trail. Whenever you hear something, ask yourself, does this person or does this party have a financial gain or lack thereof in stating that case? I kind of, and this is a whole other rabbit trail, but I think of our Western medicine and medical system, a lot of times, or pharmaceuticals or drug companies, food, a lot of it is tied to money. And so same with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, when you hear certain things, especially if they're negative. And that's one of the reasons we started this podcast. We wanted to be a trusted voice as it relates to things in the economy, the financial world, investing, and a lot of, other things. So
yeah, so let's talk about the who, what, where, when, why, how, all that fun stuff.
I often hear you refer to Bitcoin as digital gold.
Digital gold.
So tell us, what is Bitcoin? Give us a super quick overview, what it is, why, how, when, and then we're going to put a lot of resources in the show notes for this one because we don't just want you to believe us. We can't take your money and go buy Bitcoin or go buy cryptocurrencies. That's how, let's say that too. A lot of people have been scammed.
Yeah.
But there's been people scammed in real estate transactions too. At the day of closing, all of their money that's wired is stolen. So we can't be like, oh, but I've been scammed or X person has been scammed. People get scammed in everything. That's just unfortunately the world that we live in. So let's not stay out of something out of fear. Let's make wise decisions and really fully understand what we're doing. And so we're not saying all of this to you because we want you to buy Bitcoin with us or buy digital assets. It is a part of our investment fund. It is a part of our strategy. We do believe in it. This is more to educate you and help you just point you in the right direction of the resources so you understand what it is.
And when I talk about Bitcoin, I'm using Bitcoin kind of as a proxy for all of cryptocurrency. It is the original one. It's the granddaddy of them all. It's the largest market cap. It's considered digital gold. You have physical gold, obviously gold coins and bullion. You have liquid gold, which is oil. And you have now digital gold, which is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a blockchain. And the way that I describe that is the most beautiful code ever written. There's a problem with fiat currency, and I don't have a whole lot of time to get into that. We can have another conversation about that maybe one day. But fiat currency is your dollar bills, whatever country you're in. They're controlled, they're manipulated, and it all comes from a small few people in power that are controlling and manipulating that. What's so beautiful about the blockchain and about Bitcoin is its decentralized nature, meaning that no one person, one group, one country controls the currency. Another beautiful thing about Bitcoin is the scarcity of it. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin ever. So with the United States dollar, when we need more money, we just print more money. And the dollars that we're holding become worth less as they print more money because of inflation and because of all the other factors. It's not going to happen with Bitcoin because there's a finite amount of Bitcoin that will only ever be. So just basic economics, supply and demand, when you have a very limited supply and demand starts to grow, the price is going to increase. And that's what we've been seeing. And that's what we will continue to see. There are projections that in the next 5 years, Bitcoin could reach $1 million. We started buying Bitcoin. We actually started buying at 45,000 and dollar cost averaged all the way down into the teens. So we bought a lot of Bitcoin under $20,000. And currently Bitcoin price is about 112. It recently hit a high of 124,000. So just in a short 3-year period, we've seen some of our investments increase 500%.
Yeah.
That's 5x. That's the multiplication that we're talking about. We're not talking about S&P returns of 10% a year for, 10 years to get 100%, which is double your money. We're talking about 500% returns in a 3-year period. And we've seen this. We know it can happen. Right. So that's what really gets us excited. It's not addition, it's real multiplication.
True multiplication. Yep. And we've seen it not just in our fund, but even before that with our own personal finances.
Yeah.
So we just know what's possible. And okay, so remember, the goal isn't to tell everybody go out and buy all the Bitcoin in the world. We just want you to not have a fear around it. We want you to just have an open mind to it. Talk to us about timing right now, where we're at as a country and how our government is now a pro crypto government and how that changes things. I mean, I think it blows my mind when I still have somebody like, oh, I don't know what that is. I don't believe in that stuff. I'm like, well, are you in a cave somewhere, like, because you have to think of when you have a pro crypto government, you have, like you said, countries buying it and major investment firms that were saying it was terrible now buying it. I mean, let's just really open our eyes and be the wisest people in how we invest our money.
Yeah, not to get too political, but the previous administration was really not pro crypto. And the current administration is very much pro crypto. There's the Genius Act that just passed. There's a lot of pro crypto legislation that is now providing clarity for investments. The current administration is signing executive orders and working with Congress to pass laws to open up 401ks and trillions of dollars of investments into the crypto space, making them available where they couldn't before invest IRAs and 401ks and pensions and things like that into the crypto space. Now they're providing a pathway for them to do that. And that's why JP Morgan and a lot of these big Vanguard and all of these big institutions are now like getting on board. Additionally, there's ETFs for people that don't want to buy crypto. They can just buy the ETF. Now, I don't recommend that, and I have different reasons for that, but there are different ETFs that are being established for different coins and tokens. And so it's really opening it up for a lot of different investors, and a lot more demand is coming into the market. Additionally, like I said, you have countries like El Salvador. They have a buy program in place where they're buying a single Bitcoin every single day. They've done this every day for the past 1,000 days or more to build their strategic reserve. And it's completely helped flip that country's economics around.
It's wild. We just wanted this episode to start the conversation around expanding our mindset. We want kingdom believers who have a calling and a mandate to advance the kingdom, to make an impact, to leave a generational wealth for their children's children. We want us all to be as educated and in the know as possible. And so we just want to start the conversation with you. Again, it's not something that we can just buy for you. We're not trying to sell you anything. It is something we use as a part of our fund. It's one of the asset classes we invest in, but mostly on this conversation, we wanted to just create some awareness, answer some questions, bust some myths, and just get your mind kind of expanded around the topic of digital currency.
Yeah, the goal isn't to fear digital currencies or worship them. It's to understand them enough to steward them. God's people shouldn't be the most financially illiterate or fearful of things. Like, we have Holy Spirit. We have the living power of God in us. We don't need to be afraid of these things.
Yeah, so we're going to put some resources in the show notes. We highly encourage you to watch them. There's a couple on there that we play for our kids because it's super entertaining. We watch it too. There's a really great YouTube movie. There's some things you can read. So these are just kind of things we share with our investors or with our friends or family that ask us about digital currency specifically. We hope that it will just open your mind to something. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to send us a message, DM us, send us an email. And as always, please make sure you subscribe, you comment, or you give us a 5-star review on the different platforms or wherever you're listening or watching right now. Your review and rating and subscribing really helps us to be able to continue to share this information and our stories and really help people multiply what matters most in their life.
And mostly just ask Holy Spirit to lead and guide you and give you wisdom, not just in earning, but in learning. Because when you have clarity, you can move in peace. And that's the goal, to have a peace about things as you move forward. So let's stop fearing what we don't understand and start learning how to multiply in every season.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye. Before you go, remember, God can use anything. Even the hardest parts of your story can become seeds for multiplication.
If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend, leave a review, or subscribe so you never miss a moment of hope and truth.
You can also follow us on Mandate to Multiply on Instagram or mandatetomultiply.com to keep growing with us.
Until next time, trust God, steward well what's in your hand,
and live a life fully multiplied.